of quarantine, just like me, 48. There you go. Big news yesterday, wasn't it? 4 p.m. yesterday, an announcement of what level 2 will look like. A little different to what was released last week, but the good news is it means that our retail businesses can finally start reopening, and Skeinz will be one of those. We're going to have a Teams meeting, which is like a Zoom, tomorrow morning to actually iron out the nuts and bolts of what that will actually look like for us. But what I can tell you is that it means that, yes, we will be open. So come 10 a.m. Thursday morning, the doors will be open. Tomorrow, I hope to bring you tomorrow a more accurate idea of what that will look like, and I will also send out a newsletter outlining what that will look like for those that want to come and visit the retail store. The good news is everything else that we've already been doing will remain the same. So if you've been a local and you've been using the $3.95 courier service, and the uptake on that has been huge, actually, that will actually remain. Just for many of you, I know that you'll now be getting back to work and you won't actually have the ability to necessarily pop out and come and see us. So you still can actually use that, no problem whatsoever. So it is, yeah, it's really exciting. So we've got the team going back in tomorrow to restock the shop, and I thought I would do my quarantine diary on Thursday from the shop. I think that would be loads of fun. I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, lots of things happening, really exciting. Tomorrow on the quarantine diaries, I'm actually going to have Sandra McNair from Yarn Hawke's Bay. She's going to be joining me, and Sandra is we adore Sandra, and Yarn Hawke's Bay is one of the charities that we support on an ongoing basis every year. There are so many charities that we do support, and this one is probably the one that we do the greatest level of support to, and it's because of the ability that Sandra has to be able not only to get yarn worked and created into garments, but also she's got a really great way of getting the finished items out to where they needed to be. So we're going to cover all of that tomorrow with her. But in the meantime, yes, I know eagle-eyed of you have just noticed, yes, Rambla is finished. There it is. Utterly delighted. I finished it day before. I finished the knitting day before yesterday and got it blocked. And then yesterday, all I needed to do was whip stitch the hem because I actually blocked it first, then I hemmed it. So I'm going to run through that a little bit about the Rambler today. Then I'm going to show you what's on my needles, then what I've got next. And then I'm going to keep it short and sweet today because we've got so much that we want to do to get ready for the big reopening on Thursday. Heather's saying here she can't wait to get her hair done. I've been DIYing, Heather, so I can completely understand that. And I'm lucky I've got long hair. I can get away. I mean, for me, I can get away without having a cut. My mum has got very short hair like you, Heather, I know, and she reckons I keep saying to mum, oh, why don't we video call, mum? She's like, no, you can't see me with my hair. It's all crazy. But anywho, Rambler. So as you can see, I finished it, and I'm going to actually pull the camera up, so hopefully this is going to work. So I think it's going to be easier to do it this way. So the first thing I wanted to say with the blocking was I was really happy. I know there were some questions around colour work and concerns that people had with their colour work, but as you can see, that colour work with the blocking has just sat and evened itself out beautifully. Really happy with how it's gone and done that. Now I'm also happy that there is enough contrast between these two blues. It actually shows slightly higher contrast on the camera, but it is definitely more than enough. And actually that's part of the reason why I've gone and popped that cowl just up here, because it just, I mean, I've already got this piece and it will complete, even though the colors aren't exactly the same, they're close enough that they will actually tie the whole outfit together. The other thing I'm really pleased at with the blocking as well is the Noro. See how much that Noro has softened down, because that's the thing with Silk Garden, is that it is a yarn that is a single woven yarn. It is quite thick and thin. You've got I'll just pull that camera. Can you see there we go. There it goes as it gets in focus, and see how that's evened up quite significantly, and I'm really happy with that, because it is one of those yarns that it does need a decent block to to get it looking well. The other thing I've done is I've gone and popped these contrast cuffs, and as you can see, I've actually reversed the colors out here, but I just figured that the lighter color with the deeper teal in the middle just looked better. So not that you would notice, but so that I've reversed those out. And the other thing I wanted to show you was my hem when I lift this up. So that is my hem. So my hem there, I've gone and done a rolled hem. So what it means is that I knit, I think in this case it was about an inch, might have been 2 inches, there we go. I've gone and knitted, so I do a garter stitch ridge there, then I knit further beyond that, and then as you can see, I've just whip stitched that across the bottom. And what it does, and I'll just pull the camera down the length of the garment. Can you see? Oh, there we go. Hold that there so it can focus. There we go. And as you can see, it allows it to sit. Now, I haven't, to be honest, it could probably do with a press because, of course, I seamed this after I blocked it. So it could probably do with a bit of a press now just across that seam line to let it sit down. But what it does is it just creates this free flow all the way to the floor. Now, put that back up there. So the difference from the original written pattern is she had it written as a sweater. So she had it written to a sweater and it actually finished at about here. Now, I do have sweaters, but to be honest with you, I'm a tunic wearer. This is the tunic. I have a couple of sweaters that I love, and in fact, both of them that I spend most of my time in are oatmeals. Everything else that I have of that ilk that I thrash are actually tunics. So there's this tunic here, the Climb Every Mountain that I wore the other day. They're all that sort of longer length, either to mid-thigh to just above the knee. So what I've gone and done with this is that I decided that I was already going to put some shaping underneath the arm, just out, because I have a waist that comes in, but then I do have the bottom, and I was going to put the extra shaping in anyway. So what I did from underneath the arm down to about probably the first 10 or 15 centimeters, I did a 1 in 10 increase. So it was a very subtle increase. Every 10th row, I did a double increase either side underneath the armpit. So I found the exact halfway point, did 2 stitches, a double increase either side. So leaving a 4 stitch middle. So 2 marker, work 2 stitches, increase, go round the round, and then 2 stitches increase on the other side and 2 stitches for the marker. So there's 4 stitches increased at the side. Once I sort of got down past that waist level, I then actually changed that increase to a 1 in 4, and then that is what's given me the flare for the skirt, essentially for the skirt hanging out around the bottom, and that's really the only thing I changed. And then I kept going to the length that I wanted to get. So for me, I've got 2 other tunics, similar tunics, that sort of sit just above the knee, and I sort of kind of finished this so it was about that much above the knee, but I knew that with the blocking I'd get a drop. So, and I was right. When I've tried this on, it's pretty much bang on to how I want it. I'm going to get some photos with me in it, and I'll get those posted in due course. But I just wanted to get it on the mannequin so I could get the camera up and close and show you now that it's all done. When I did my blocking with this, because this is Southlander, it is a bit more rustic. I did have some Skeinz Super Soft. Unfortunately, we are out of stock on the website at the moment, but we do hope to get some more back once the madness quietens down. I blocked this in a mixture of Super Soft and then just standard fabric softener. I did both, equal amounts of both. And it was actually a surprising amount of liquid. So this total garment weighs probably close to about 600 grams. Actually more than that, be 700 grams, about 700 grams. And I used actually quite a bit of both of those conditioners. So it wasn't just a small amount, it was actually quite generous amount. So I would say I probably used about a quarter of a cup, nearly quarter of a cup of Super Soft and nearly quarter of a cup of regular fabric softener in a lukewarm, more than lukewarm water actually. So probably about a 50 degree water. So warm enough that you could put your hand in comfortably, and it felt quite warm. And I left that to soak. and I left that to soak. And it really has, as you can see, it's flattened everything else beautifully. The drape on this is lovely, and actually the handle has softened quite considerably from the ball. So I'm really, really happy with that. I know that with wear, it's going to be one of those garments that's going to relax with wear, and I'm quite comfortable with that. So yeah, I'm really chuffed with it. Really, really chuffed with it. And I did launch, and I used 6 balls of Southlander Sport. The pattern called, I think, for 4.5 if I was going to do it as a sweater. So I only used 1 ball more, and in fact, I actually just broke into a 7th ball, and that was essentially right at the very end, almost in the final 2 rows. So to be honest with you, I just miscalculated. You could comfortably get away for the size I did in 6, but I've held on to this because I want to do a hat that matches, because I've got this much left of the colours. So what I thought I would do is I would just do a slouchy beanie, and I would do the top half of the colour work. So essentially that amount of colour work there for the top half, because the number of rows in there is around, I think it's, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. Yeah, it's about 16, 17 stitches just from that portion there by the time you throw in the remainder of the colour work portion. And the beanie that I use, you usually do from brim around 20 odd rounds or rows before you start looking at doing a shaping. So that actually I think will work in quite beautifully, because I'll be able to actually do the colour work like this, have potentially do something, and actually I'll set this up and then it might give you a little bit of an idea. If you can imagine, I could potentially do something like that. So where I have a bit of a brim there with the colours, a bit of the dark. Oh, let's move my hand so you can see. There we go. A bit of the dark, colour work, and then darkness in the crown. I don't know. I'll fiddle around. I'll have a look. It's a beanie. If I don't like it, I'll rip it out. It's as simple as that, really. So yeah, really happy with that. Absolutely delighted. And so once I got that off the needles day before yesterday and threw it into soak, I then whipped out what I showed you ages ago that I was also quite keen to finish off during lockdown, which was this project here, which was this really incredible crazy ball of wool silk, which I'd picked up when I was in Tasmania, along with some matching bright citrus green merino. So this is some of my what I call souvenir yarns. And this is just my ever after cowl. And what I've gone and done is I've gone and used a 5.5mm needle, which is a wee bit bigger than what I would normally use, but it was, funnily enough, the needle recommendation size for this yarn. So since I want this to be the dominant yarn, I thought, okay, that's what the ball band says, even though I don't believe it. That's what I've gone and done. The cowl is worked out on a multiple of 12 stitches. So for my case, I've gone and done 156, and as you can see, that's what I've got on my needle at the minute. Making this up as I go along in terms of where the colour work sits. I've started with the wool silk, and then initially I started with 4 rows of this, and then I did 4 rows of the citrus, and then I did another 4 rows of wool silk, and then I actually looked at the 2 and I thought, this is really strong, and I actually want the other to be the dominant colour. So I've actually now pulled it back to 4 and 2, 4 and 2 to make this the dominant yarn, because this, even at 2 rows, is going to actually push through quite strongly. Did I want to go back and frog and do that? Well, if I was being particularly precious, I could have. But I'm taking the Stephen B approach on these things. When this is all said and done, what is it going to matter? And you're not going to notice. No one's going to notice. I will notice, but I won't care. So it's okay. So I've kept going. And to be honest with you, if I get some good uninterrupted knitting time later this afternoon, I'll probably get this knocked off. The other thing I like about these colours, like, to me, these colours are all very Vincent van Gogh. That's just how I feel about them. That's what they say to me. But already I can see what I'm wearing now, that I'll end up wearing this cowl with this particular outfit, because it will add a pop of colour to this very, very dark vest with the dark top that I wear underneath. And I'm just getting to the portion now with a wee bit of black in it, which will sit about a third of the way up from the cow. So it's all sort of coming together. Right, let me just have a quick look and see if you guys have got any questions before I start going on to my next thing, and then we will be there. Oh, so good to see so many of you this morning. It's great. Absolutely great. Oh dear, yes, we've been honestly, Claire and I have had so many video phone calls trying to get things organised already, and we're also been working on getting yarns through the mill. We'll talk about that just in a second. And yeah, as I said yesterday too, thank you for everybody that came out and ordered over the weekend. That was so wonderful. We really, really did use it. Marg saying, what pattern will you use for the slouchy beanie? Marg, this is me. I use a derivative of a beanie pattern called the Kogo beanie, which is Kogo, which I think stands for Knit One Give One. It's, I think, a work flat beanie, but I've sort of kind of done a derivative from that. So if you're looking for a pattern, I think try that one. I've kind of made adjustments to this is me. The one big adjustment though, Marg, you have brought up a good point. The one big adjustment that I will have to make is my number of cast on stitches will be dependent on the pattern repeat, obviously, in the colour work. So I have to work that out. But to be honest with you, it's not particularly wide between those 2 points. You're only looking at about 8 stitches. So yeah, I'm not particularly phased. I will probably do the beanie in a 3.75mm needle, which is what the main body of this has been knitted in. As you can see, I'm really happy with the cover factor on that fabric. I think the cover factor is perfect. It's not showing any stretch. It's not looking too lacy. The Southlander has sort of relaxed itself out. So yeah, it'll end up being cast. I'll probably cast on somewhere in the vicinity of between 110 and 120 stitches. Is what I'll do there, and then I just make it up as I go along. 120 stitches, depending on the colour work, is 110 and 120 are both really good numbers because they're easily divisible. Anything that's to 10 is easily divisible in terms of figuring out your shaping, particularly if I'm doing like a corkscrew shaping, which is what I'll end up doing. I think I may, though, because these are zigzags and diamonds, I may actually do a if it's 120, I may do a hexagonal shaping instead, which is where I do double decreases across a hexagon, sharp decreases. Haven't quite decided. I'll make it up as I go along. Right, there we go. Hi, do you have barley and hot mess? Asks John Sue. Oh, I don't know what that is. You might need to enlighten. Oh, could we maybe have a demonstration on blocking? I've never done it. Oh, I've never done it and usually steamed, says Jill. I haven't thought about that, actually. I suppose we probably could. To do that, I would probably need to knit a variety of small swatches, and then maybe that could be something that I do at once we get I'm back. I can get back into the office. But yeah, actually, that is something we could probably do, and I would need to figure out my camera work a little bit more because I'd want to get this camera in such a place that you'll be able to see it. But yeah, in theory, yes, is the short answer to that. Oh, Sylvia was saying that the colour choices that I've made for Rambla has inspired her. She's got a hand-painted sock yarn, from a souvenir to a trip to Virginia last year, and she's going to start Caitlin Hunter's Nordiska. Now, Caitlin Hunter, when we spoke to Alia yesterday, she had a Caitlin Hunter sweater on, beautiful. And she's going to she's got some yarn, she's going to incorporate a souvenir yarn. And this is something, if you're new to the diaries, this is actually something that I spoke about earlier on in the diaries. I've been very fortunate over the last 15 years. Well, to be fair, the last 20 years, I've always had roles and jobs or have been involved in businesses where I have done a lot of travel all over. And for me, I'm not a big souvenir shopping person. Like, I don't go in and buy t-shirts or tea towels or what have you, but I have always bought yarn. So my stash is this very quirky thing that is full of these crazy yarns from all around the world, and often only a few balls here and there, because they're just a souvenir for me to remember a particular place by. So I have a load of these souvenir yarns, and I know as when knitters, we all do this, right? We so all do this, and we go into that local yarn store and we see a hand-dyed amazing something, or something that's made locally, and we'll pick it up, right? That's me. So that's what I have been doing with this. And this is one of the things that I've been doing on the lockdown, is because Lord only knows when I'm going to get to travel again. And that's okay, because in a way I don't need to, because I can cast on these souvenir yarns, and in a way it takes me back to the places. So for this particular one here, it is I want to say Subiaco, but that's Perth. It's it's in Hobart, right in the bottom of Hobart, down there where they have the market, and that's where I got this, and it's just fantastic. Brains just gone. Susan is asking, when will you have more Chatswood in stock? Honestly, Susan, I can't answer the question, because Chatswood is a recycled yarn, so it will come down to when we've got enough recycled fibre to put that in stock. That is one, I think, Chats, in terms of all the recycled yarns that we do, we have 2 of them that are a higher priority than the others, and they are Sock Petition Edition and Chatswood. So those 2 will always be done ahead of any of the others, Pearl or Cove and the like. So hopefully it will. I mean, I do Salamanca. Thank you, Colleen. I knew it began with S. Salamanca. I got that from Salamanca in Hobart. We will be doing more Chatswood, definitely, fingers crossed, across the winter. But in reality, we won't start seeing yarns coming back for 10 to 12 weeks. Actually, I'll just cover off a little bit about that, just to keep you guys in the loop, as it were. We're prioritising Perendale and Merino Soft at this stage. We have 151 line items on our order. That's 151 balls or shades of yarn on order. I know, that is more than half our total stock in terms of yarn so that we make. It is bonkers, absolutely bonkers. So that is pretty full on. They have got a meeting to see how our bottleneck is the dye house, to see actually how we can prioritise getting the work through the dye house so we can get things out to you as expediently as possible. The good news, both Perendale and Merino Soft, which are the ones that are most decimated, which are the ones that people are yelling out for the most, they have actually right in the final throes of being spun. I know that they were on twisting last week, so in fact I would say they've probably now been reeled and are heading into the dye house now, and they will start coming through to us, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, by early to the middle of next week. We'll start seeing the first shades of those starting to creep through. What they are yet, I don't know. I definitely know there's some Perendales, but I think there's a big bunch of Merino Soft white that I think they're looking at getting out relatively quickly as well. So that's really, really good news. And then all the other yarns are going to be slotted in and around that as well. And unfortunately, a whole heap of them need to be respun. So that is going to add to the delay. Those that don't need to be respun, they then just get squeezed into the dye schedule when they can, and then they can't start robing out. If you are working on a project and we have run out of something, you've got a couple of options. You can hang tight and wait, or you can actually look at potentially other colours within that range and see if you're able to do a little bit of colour blocking or matching. I mentioned this the other day, and I'll show you using this and even this too. So depending on how you've constructed your garment, one of the things that you can do is you can play around with colours in your sleeves. So often what people will find, if they're doing it in traditional format where you've knitted a front and a back and then a sleeve, and then you've gotten so far and you know, okay, I'm going to run out, one of the easiest things that you can do is you can actually unravel that sleeve completely and then knit both your sleeves in a different colour, and then use what remaining yarn of your original colour to actually contrast around cuffs, and you can then, so then it looks like you've pulled the whole thing together and you meant to actually do that. So then you can have a body of a yarn, different coloured sleeves, I've done this all the time. The other thing that you can do too to pull it all together is, and I've done this as well, is across the bottom hem of your front and your back, popping a really simple basic blanket stitch across there in that contrasting colour just helps pull everything together. If it's an item for a little girl, for example, you could crochet a little picot edge along there in the contrasting colour. It's about making things look like you've actually done them on purpose, and it was always planned to be that way all along, and you'll be amazed at what you can do. I've even gone as far, and I've worn this grey cardigan several times, and you've seen it where I've actually done big blocks of colour and broken blocks of colour around, so then that way it does pull it all together, and it looks like it's something that I've meant to do when really I've just run out of yarn. The other option is don't feel free to use the Skeinz Speakeasy. That's what it's there for. Once we go to level 2, it's easy for people now to start posting yarn around the country. So if you are short of something and somebody has some in stash that they're prepared to part with, I'm more than happy that you guys use the Speakeasy as a way to connect, and then just take your messages offline for your negotiations. But if you want to advertise that you're looking for something, go right ahead and use it. That's what it's there for. It's part of the community, and I have no issues with that whatsoever. Now, what else did I have to talk to you about? There was something else. I know I had. Oh, yeah, duh. So next for me, so obviously I've got this, which I'm finishing, but that's going to be done. The hat won't take long, and in fact, I'll probably do the hat simultaneously, and because I'm itching to cast this on. I'm going to cast on my next project. So look at this. I've got. So in case for those that have joined and didn't catch that episode, this is Cowney, and Cowney is Danish, and this yarn is honestly, it's like twins with Southlander. It is pretty much the same handle as Southlander. It is almost the same construction. In fact, I think the count is ever so slightly finer. But the construction's the same. Oh no, it's actually about the same. Look at it. There you go. Almost identical. They are lovely friends. I've had this Cowney. I got this Cowney from Yarns, the lovely Nanette and Lorraine from Yarns at Knit August Nights. In fact, I have loads of Cowney. I love it. They're beautiful, long ombre gradients of colour. This particular one is the rainbow gradient, which is probably one of the most popular. And I had to play around with it, doing a little modular shawl idea, just really to knit something one wet afternoon, and I unraveled it, and I've just gone and unraveled it and then soaked that to take all the kinks out. So that's part the ball there pulled from the inside, and here's the rest here. So I'm going to be doing with this, and I'm coupling that up with, at this stage, Oatmeal Southlander Sport. I haven't well, you know, I have decided. I need to go in and get it, though. I haven't got any. Can't get that till Thursday. But I'm going to be doing this Gold Wing from Jennifer Steingass. And what I'll be doing with this is, where she's got the pale at the top there, I'm actually going to do the Cowney. And then where she's got the gold, I'm going to do the oatmeal. I just think that will look really pretty with the rainbow there, little rainbow bit there. And I'm then going to actually probably do this with it, tunic it, and actually have a grey tunic, knitted tunic as well. So that's the plan at this stage, and that's my plan for sort of winter knitting. But this is me. You know what happens, plans change, but I'm actually being pretty structured about this at the minute. I still do have another poncho that I've been working on, design that I've been working on for ages. I should really get that finished, and I really do. And I know I've been, yes, Marie, I've been saying this for 48 days. I will get on to getting that to Ethan for tech editing. I mean, it shouldn't take too long for me to send that, but I will get round to it. I promise. I promise. But until then, I will be back tomorrow with the wonderful Sandra from Yarn Hawke's Bay, and Thursday, I hope to, fingers crossed, do Quarantine Diaries from the shop. And once we get through to the rest of the week, I think I'm going to definitely do Thursday at the shop. I'm depending on how we go and how busy and how things shake out. I'll let you know what will happen with Friday. May not do Friday, but at this stage I'm planning to catch up with Ethan again on Saturday. And then what we'll do from next week as we'll start laying out a plan of how the diaries will work. And we may need to change the name from the Quarantine Diaries to maybe the Skeinz Diaries or something else. But I think actually Skeinz Diaries, that works, doesn't it? So we will definitely continue. Now that I've got myself organised, we will start being a little bit more structured. Hey, Delene, how's my subtitles been today, Delene? If anyone wants a giggle, Delene discovered this the other day. If anyone wants a giggle, and I have been told this already, the subtitles that Facebook have for the community, that they can pop up for the deaf community, struggles with my very pronounced New Zealand accent. And if you want a really good laugh, listen to me and then watch the subtitles when they come up. Apparently it's hysterical. I actually need to do it, Dee. I keep forgetting, but I do know that because from time to time when I've gone back with the diaries and I've seen it in YouTube, because I have those automatically on YouTube, every now and then I've seen them pop up and I'm thinking, I didn't say that. But that's all good. It's fun. It's so fun. Anywho, take care, everybody. I will be back here. Oh, hold on. On a serious note, the designer names are the hardest to figure out. Oh, with the yes, with the subtitles. Yeah, they probably are. So funny. Anywho, I'm getting distracted. I'm sitting here reading comments and I shouldn't be doing that. I need to get going. I've got loads to do. I will see you tomorrow here with Sandra. I'll be back at the shop on Thursday. But tomorrow, if you get a newsletter from me tomorrow and you're a local, I will be outlining what level 2 looks like for the shop. So there you go. Take care. Talk to you again soon. Bye.